Alright, it's time to head out for another adventure. This time we're gonna go to a secret little deserted beach, about 20 kilometers from here, 15 to 20, and do a night of camping finally again. Really excited. Alright, I'm going to go for a quick snorkel to look for some fishes for the aquarium, and then gotta get some coconuts, firewood, cooking a nice little dinner, and just relax. Let's see how many starfish we see on the way to the boat. One. So clear. I've got something interesting planned for later on. I'll be telling you guys about the Giants of Bolivia, which is one of my favorite topics. I feel like I say that about every topic, but it really is, because Nothing is better than physical evidence of any kind. And when you have bones that are clearly not Homo sapien and that are clearly much taller than us and completely different hominoid species, that's when it gets interesting for me, and I want to show you a little bit more about it later on. It's also on my website. Still not quite ready to share it yet because I want to add some more stuff because it's a new version, but soon. I've got a new hull ready here, a bit bigger than the other one. Got a compass and a wave meter. Nice little area in the front here to chill. This is a really shallow beach here, but it's beautiful. I found an additional starfish. That's got to be the biggest one yet. Is it dead? I'm not sure. It's moving a little bit. Move your arms like a starfish.
It's
that looks good. Fresh avocado. And this view. Looking for some firewood here, but mostly coconut lumber or wet, but also really beautiful here. I found a nice space here on the rock to get away from those damn mosquitoes. That's our fire down there. It looks like rain is getting it burning a bit better again. Yeah, the mosquitoes are pretty bad over here. We picked this weekend because the last couple of weekends it was pretty windy and rainy especially. I mean, I don't mind a little bit of rain when I'm camping, but it was a bit too much. So yeah, today was supposed to be better condition. That's why we decided to do it today. It's actually quite nice here. I took some pictures of the sunset that I might add to the video. You can see the moon up there. Ah, it's beautiful. Definitely not as many mosquitoes here. I've got a little printout from my website, so I can check out some of the details so I don't forget anything. But today's topic is about the giants they found in Bolivia, in South America. There's a whole bunch of interesting creatures and humanoids they found, like that little alien type humanoid they found and that they tested in the lab. That is not related to anything that we know. But yeah, in this case, I want to talk about the giants. So I'm going to look once in a while on my paper here from the text of my website, so I don't forget any important facts. But basically, yeah, mainstream history wants us to believe that humans evolved from monkeys to modern humans just by mutation, which is of course complete bullshit. Looks like some fishermen are going home. It's really the only people you see here on this beach, is why I like coming here. Yeah, there's not a single proof of evolution. Most people don't know that, but not a single one. And in fact, everything speaks against it. And like I said in another video already, I'm not religious, so. But ironically, religion is a bit closer to the truth than what we learn in school. That's a loud boat. And the level of precision. Ah, the mosquitoes are so annoying. I think we have not a choice than hiding in the tent all night, or sleep in the boat. But I think even in the boat they're gonna get to us. So it's getting a bit dark. I might have to continue this tomorrow morning because I can't even read anymore. So yeah, we're gonna enjoy the evening here, and then tomorrow morning I'll continue telling you about the Giants of Bolivia. Looks like the fire went out now. Alright, good night guys. See you tomorrow.
I'll get it boiling.
It's time for our traditional ceremonial cacao. That's just something that has to happen when we can. We're just listening to the waves and watching the fireflies and the stars. Good morning. It's been a rough night. Not rough, but didn't sleep too well. There's some really annoying birds early morning that wouldn't stop being noisy. It's really hard to sleep, including a bunch of crows. It's so glassy this morning, look at this. Oh, what a perfect boat day. Last night we did some cacao again. Ceremonial cacao, I can only recommend it. If you're a coffee drinker and you try to find an alternative that's actually healthy, unlike coffee, look into ceremonial cacao. It tastes incredible. So peaceful. Let's talk about the giants. I started last night already over there on the rocks, but it got dark so quickly I was not even able to read from my notes. So peaceful. Still trying to wake up. I like it here. Alright, let's talk about the Giants of Bolivia. Super interesting topic. I'm sure pretty much nobody has heard about it yet. It's one of these topics that I like to keep alive on my website. I've written about this almost 20 years ago already, and you really cannot find, if you Google it now, you cannot find anything about it. Obviously, they don't want us to know anything about that, but it's backed by artifacts and bones, skulls. So again, evidence, no theories. And again, we're talking about evolution and the lack thereof, at least the natural mutation. Mainstream media wants us to think that, or to believe that we all magically evolved from monkeys and lower humanoids, which we did in some way, but not without help. Not without help. In 1996, a team of archaeologists discovered an area in the Altiplano in Bolivia, which is about 13,000 feet over sea level. They discovered an area that showed signs of human modification of the landscape and remnants of villages. And after studying the area, they came to the conclusion that there are several destroyed villages up in the mountains, and there are also signs of trees that snapped like matches, similar to the ones they found in Russia, with that big explosion that until today we're not sure what it was. If it was a meteorite exploding in the atmosphere or what it was. But after they consulted with geologists in the surrounding countries, especially in Argentina, they discovered that there was a meteor impact about 4,000 years ago, which is still quite recent considering what they found. And yeah, it impacted about 150 miles away from the site that they were studying, and it was calculated that the impact had the force of several nuclear explosions. The meteorite was about 160 feet, about 50-60 meters in size, so that's pretty big. Some of the most interesting findings that have been made by that team were masks and flutes, stone flutes decorated with turquoise inlays, as well as flutes that are made of stones and pipes. All pieces were perfectly manufactured and decorated with different subjects that cannot be assigned to any pre-Columbian culture. The symbols have close resemblance to the illustrations James Churchward employed in his book The Lost Continent of Mu, which many of you know about for sure. According to his theory, the continent of Mu existed in the Pacific and spread its culture to all continents. Also very interesting is the connection to the same symbols which William Neven found from 1897 to 1927, as well as Professor Masaki Kimuro, who leads the researches concerning the stone buildings in Yoguini in Japan. Also writes that a lot of the symbols that have been carved into the stone tablets found in Japan are completely identical with those of the Neven tablets, which look similar to the ones found in South America. The technique of the fabrication of the artifacts from Bolivia are difficult to explain when using mainstream history as basis, because of course they want us to think that we are the current version of humans are the pinnacle of civilization on this planet, which when you look at the structures that are all around the planet, which it's pretty clear that this cannot be true, since we cannot replicate most of the structures that we still see today. We simply have nothing to move the blocks that they used to even put it in place. Up to the discovery of the flutes from Bolivia, there were only 2 stone flutes known from China, which are about 6,000 years old and came from the province of Henan. However, the Chinese flutes are simply manufactured and do not exhibit any decorations, while the Bolivian flutes were covered in beautiful decorations and motifs and amazed scientists with their perfectly adapted boreholes and the level of precision. The question how it could have been possible that centuries ago they were able to create boreholes accurate to the millimeter into very hard rock, and furthermore, how could these holes have been connected in a perfect diameter? Still mosquitoes on me. How could these holes have been connected in a perfect diameter in a curvature with the other end? That's a good question. As an interesting side note, one of the flutes, I'm gonna show pictures of that over the video, shows a motif of a descending serpent commonly used in South American culture to describe the arrival of their gods in spaceships, so to say. And right below, a figure that seemed to resemble a gray alien. So how much more clear does it get? Now comes the really interesting part, and I'm reading from my website. Without looking at the remains of the bodies of these people to which we come soon, their flutes gave an undeniable indication to those who tried to get them to produce sounds that they were not made by or for humans. During sound tests in 2001 in Vienna, the flutes have been examined by a professional flute player. For a long time, the man was not able to get a single sound out of the flutes. When he finally did, the sounds created a strong vibrancy amongst the audience. Here it gets really interesting. The musicologists who were present noted that the tone row did not match any popular existing musical scale, and Italian and American scientists found out that the frequency of the sounds was precisely equivalent with our brainwaves. So they might have used it for healing or for relaxation. It's incredible. Either way, it proves there's a high rate of technology in play, or was in play, to create these things, these flutes. Well, now comes the most interesting part. The professional flute player believed that the makers of these instruments must have had a huge breast or lung volume, because at first he was not even able to get any sound out of it. I guess in the end he tried to blow it harder than a human normally would to finally produce some sound. And yeah, he was right. It was definitely not made by a human. And he was also right about that whoever made these must have had a huge lung volume. Now they also found bones and skulls, and the body measurements of these people were far superior to us, at least in size, just as their technology level at the time, because 4,000 years ago, yeah, we definitely weren't able to produce things like that. So these humanoids, they were between 8.2 and 8.8 feet tall, and had a very different appearance compared to us. I will show you the pictures again, how they look like, and I even made a comparison in Photoshop. So I put a human skull next to it for the difference in size, and also the difference of the autonomy of the skull. The elongated skull, which is not artificial cranial deformation or modification, which some native folks do with their kids when they're born to imitate what they actually saw, their gods. They're definitely the most striking point, the skulls. Now I'm going to show you the picture with the comparison. Highlighted in blue and orange, the shape of the mouth and teeth is arranged steeply upward rather than straight and on a flat level like human teeth or the human mouth. Potentially this gave them some sort of permanent smile, similar to dolphins. When looking closely, the area between the eyes and cheeks also differs strongly from us, and combined with their most likely very low voice, they must have made an impressive and peaceful impression. Now, I don't write anything about this on the website on this topic, But if you compare these skulls and the size of the skeletons to Bigfoot sightings and how people explain how they look like, you know, the size of the skull, the body, and a larger space in between the eyes because of the larger skull. They might even be related to whatever we can still see today in remote forests all over the world, or even in mountains. Yeah, mostly in North America. But it could be the same type of humanoid. Whatever it is, it's not human. It's not Homo sapiens, and it was only 4,000 years ago, so that means they lived at the same time with us. So that's definitely the bombshell for me personally. Now on my website I conclude this article with the sentence: according to the Mayans, the current version of humans is the fifth one. The fifth civilization, or the fifth version. Since these enormously tall people lived at the same time period as us, about 2000 BC, it makes perfect sense that some of our stories about giants can be traced back to these people. And that's absolutely true. So once again, these stories about some kind of creature, in that case giants, are based on something that really existed and still does today, I'm sure, at least in the form of Bigfoots. I mean, some of the Bigfoots they've seen are between, most of them are around 7 to 8 feet, but they've seen them over 10 feet tall, and those are all people that are credible. There's a whole bunch of interesting Bigfoot encounter channels in YouTube already, and if you keep listening to a few of the interviews, you can tell that these people definitely saw whatever they talk about here. It's not made up. You can tell it by the way they talk, the details. Yeah, very interesting, at least for me. I hope you also find the story interesting. And in a couple of weeks I will link to the website so you can read a bit more. I need a bit more time to add a few more things because I made a new style and it looks a bit empty still. So I want to make sure it's nice and some more topics for you to read about when I release the website address. Well, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're interested to hear more of these topics for me, and come with me on my adventures.